Who can tell me who invented the light bulb? Thomas Edison, I hear. So Thomas Edison is widely credited at inventing the light bulb, but also the system behind it to power electric lighting. In 1882, New York became the first electrified city in the world, and New Zealand was an early adopter. So 6 years later, in Reefton, on a little gold mining town on the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand, became electrified. So electric lights were rolled out through Reefton. And it was really an early adoption of not only electric lighting, but also the lights were powered by the Anungahua River. So New Zealand was also an early adopter of hydroelectric power. Let's jump forward 140 years. So today, New Zealand is renowned for our clean, green, renewable electricity. Kia ora, I'm Michelle Polglase, and I have the privilege of working at our New Zealand's National Energy Innovation Centre, Araaki. So we have great hydro resources. In fact, hydro powers around just over half of our electricity needs. We have geothermal. The great thing about geothermal is it operates 24/7, so it's fantastic base load for our electricity sector. And geothermal provides about a quarter of our electricity needs. And if the lakes are low, the lights are still on. And then we have wind. So wind is up to about 10% of our electricity mix now, and there are more wind farms quite literally on the horizon, with more projects being consented, so there's a great pipeline coming through. And what about solar? Well, we're talking about grid-scale solar. That's only about 2% of our electricity mix at this point in time, putting back into the grid. But combine that with battery storage, and that's going to be an absolute game changer for the sector. And there's an absolutely massive pipeline of projects in the mix. So we're doing quite well, I hear you say. 85% renewable energy, thereabouts, depending on the lake levels. And then that remaining 15%, we've got a bit of coal and we've got natural gas. And when the lake levels are low and the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow, we're tapping into those resources. However, we need to jump into a new threshold, taking a whole of energy systems approach. And there are some cold, hard facts around our energy system. So electricity is only a small part of an energy system. We're talking about industrial energy, our transport fuels, and what that means is that 30% of electricity feeds into an energy system, and the remaining mix is very dependent on fossil fuels. So we have declining natural gas in New Zealand, and we also have a dependence on imported fuel as well. So we're at a tipping point or a threshold, and we need some new mixes, some new innovation, some new opportunities to bring into that energy future. So yes, we need to lean into electrification. We're doing a good job of that, and we can take that 30% right up to the 30%. We need to optimise what we have. We need to build more of what we need, but we need to explore other options. And I'm just going to talk about 3 exciting opportunities for New Zealand. The first one is bioenergy. So that's energy that's derived from biological matter. We're talking about biomass and biogas, among others. And there is an innovator in New Zealand, Cetogenics, who is solving one of the biggest challenges for biogas in New Zealand, which is the feedstock issue. So we're a country of mostly pasture-based farming, and that's made it really difficult to get to pipeline quality biogas at scale. Cetogenics is a great example of a deep tech success story. So taking IP out of our public research organisations and solving the feedstock problem with a process that accelerates the anaerobic digestion, and their goal at the end of next year is to get to that pipeline quality gas at scale. Or how about the hydrogen economy? There are some really interesting new energy precincts that combine renewable electricity with wind to produce hydrogen for transportation. And we've also got Crux Aerospace, who are working on emissions-free flying. So that's hydrogen electric propulsion that can absolutely revolutionise the aviation sector. And in New Zealand, we have a regulatory environment with our Civil Aviation Authority that has an emerging technologies program. We have talent pipeline capability in our universities, and we also have a really advanced aerospace and advanced aviation ecosystem providing connections and support. So pretty exciting to see what is going to be happening literally in the space. And then how about fusion? Shall we use the nuclear word? Nuclear fusion specifically, which powers the sun. And right here in Wellington, we have OpenStar. And now they reached first plasma at the end of last year. And their goal, their bold ambition, is to be feeding electricity into the grid within a decade. So we're talking limitless clean energy. So we've got a lot of options. We've got 3 really amazing opportunities to add to our energy mix. We're standing at a threshold, but my call to action here today is we need to support, connect, and fund the innovators with the bold vision who are on that long, hard journey, that commercialisation journey. And we really need those technologies to succeed. So that's my call for all of you here today. We, 140 years ago, stood on the threshold of electrification, and we took the leap. We need to support those Thomas Edisons of the future, and let's do this together. Decisions that we make will impact our generation, and we're really at that exciting opportunity of completely shifting into a new energy systems future. Kia ora, thank you.